Capitol, they're scheming in the night, selling out our freedoms for a pocket full of spite. From the border to the heartland, the wolves are at the door, twisting truth and tearing down what our fathers fought before. But I'm a patriot source, standing tall and true, with a Bible in my hand and old glory flying blue. Ain't apologizing for loving this land. We'll fight the forces of evil with fire in our stand. God bless the USA, we'll never back down. Patriots for freedom, wearing that crown.
How do we turn that off? There
Like
we
that.
go. There we go. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Hey, have you guys ever felt like you're going into battle over the weekend and like your war buddies are nowhere to be found? Because that's how I felt all weekend long. So we've literally got a war going, not like a physical, well, we have a physical war going on over in Iran, but there's also a war going on social media right now. And I'm looking to my left and to my right. SK, I don't know where the hell she's at. She's putting together like a thread, which by the way was fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. And Nom's over here eating freaking crawdads on the beach down in the Gulf. And then he's hopping in his car and driving to Tampa. And I'm over here just like battling these Iranian propagandists all weekend long by myself. But it was a pretty effective process.
You were doing just fine. I was peeking. I was getting the notifications, but I'm sorry, man. I was hanging out with the wife. It was too busy.
I get it.
Too busy.
I get it. So folks, you may have noticed that that SK is not with us. I think she's in the chat. She'll be joining us when she can. Her son is playing baseball, and she sent a text to us earlier. She's like, "Oh my gosh, the coach just put him to start at first base. What do I tell him?" I'm like, "Tell him to catch the damn ball."
What are we panicked for?
That's like, all you got to do.
Catch the ball.
Catch the ball. I mean, I know I make it sound a lot easier than it is, but just catch the ball and you'll be fine.
Well,
right?
9 times out of the 10, the problem for first baseman is the people throwing the ball to him.
Yeah. Especially at that age. If it's anything like youth soccer, I can imagine that youth baseball is a. Do you remember the last time you and I played baseball? Do you remember?
We played t-ball.
And do you remember what happened that caused us to not play t-ball anymore?
Oh, it was stupid. I don't know.
You don't remember?
Mm-mm.
Apparently, there was a fight from a bunch of parents and coaches in the middle of the diamond, and Nom and I were like, "Yeah, we don't want to play this anymore. We want to go find something else to do." You don't remember that story?
I don't remember that story. No.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, folks, in case you haven't noticed, we are at war. We're at war. So we're going to talk about that because there is a massive propaganda campaign going on in social media right now. So we know that there is a campaign happening overseas. We've got U.S. military, Israeli military, literally decapitating the Iranian regime from top to bottom, decapitating them. But if you go on social media right now, then you're led to believe that the United States is losing, that we are losing a war. That's the impression that they're trying to create. And I'm going to show you some of that. We're going to talk about some of it.
Who are we losing to? Certainly not the Iranians.
Apparently, that's the Iranian propaganda narrative, is that all we have to do, all the Iranians have to do is they just have to make this a little bit uncomfortable. That's it.
Well, because I mean, we know how the left in this country handles war, right? I mean, if you
this
don't
isn't
fight,
the left, Nom.
I get it. I mean, it is. We're talking about the artist formerly known as Jess and Mata and all of those fucking losers. They are actually leftists. I mean, whether they believe it or they know it or not, but they are literally slurping down the garbage that leftists are feeding, and they're running with it. They are the Pied Pipers of the left right now.
I would argue that they're not just running with it. I would argue that they are driving it. And I think we can make a very strong case. So let me back up. So this whole time that people like Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene and those Republican turncoats who decided right around, oh, I don't know, when Trump decided to join Israel to bomb the Iranian nuke facilities, they decided that suddenly they needed to make the Epstein files a Trump issue. Do you remember that? The timing of it is incredibly suspicious now that we look back and retrospect with a 360-degree lens and say, whoa, wait a minute. You decided that now Trump had to be accused of all these horrific crimes in the Epstein files within a few weeks of when he decided to take out the nuclear facilities. And I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit. And if you saw my video I did a few days ago on this, you probably already seen it. But Thomas Massey is going to regret some decisions that he made and the people that he's been associating with. Now, I don't know if you've even seen this because you've been kind of out of pocket yet, but I think we got Thomas Massey dead to rights, looking an awful lot like an Iranian propagandist right now.
Ooh, well, it seems like there's a handful of those out there right now. Iranian propagandists. And we know that they were spending a bunch of money, and, they're China's best friends, and China and Russia and Venezuela. Those guys are all working together to, propaganda and all the things that we know that China is very, very good at. So sure. But none of that shocks me. None of it surprises me even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
Well, I think we found the root of it. And then SK, I don't know if you guys saw the post that she put out on X today, where she was talking about Code Pink and the trips that Code Pink has made to Iran. So it should not be surprising to you to find pictures of Marjorie Taylor Greene wrapping her arms around Code Pink right about the same time that Thomas Massey is being awarded awards from the guy who was the primary lobbyist for Iran in the United States for the last 20 years. But we'll get to that. But there is some good news. There's a lot of people in Iran and around the world who are celebrating the fact that Donald Trump had balls big enough to finally put an end to a 47-year conflict, a war that's been waged against the United States for the last 47 years from these lunatic, radical nut job tyrants over in Iran. And yet we have people here in this country who are already trying to whitewash the way the Iranian Ayatollah and his regime have been treating people in that country. It's shocking to me.
It's not shocking to me, actually. These people just aren't smart. They're just not smart people. How many times have you heard me kind of rail on and on about the idiocy of the Handmaid's Tale costume and that whole story, and how these moron white liberal women run around like, I'm going to put my Handmaid's Tale costume on to represent my protest against President Trump and his fascism. Well, the problem is, as many on this show knows, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you again, that entire book, that story was written about the Islamic Revolution in Iran. It had nothing to do with Christianity or oppressive Christianity or anything like that. The author, however, was so afraid of the backlash from the Islamic revolutionaries in Iran that she made it about Christianity. But if she said many years later that, yes, this was drawn on and inspired by the Islamic Revolution in Iran. That is why everywhere you looked over the weekend, and I did see an awful lot of this, everywhere you looked over the weekend, you saw nothing but Iranian and Persian women celebrating and taking to task these white liberal moron women out there and saying, listen, you don't understand this. Why don't you fucking go over and spend a month in Iran?
Do you see that question? Nom,
yeah, what's Code Pink?
Can you take that question on? Do you know the answer to that question? Where's SK when you need her?
No, Code Pink. Well, Code Pink got its start back in the first Iraq and Afghanistan wars under Bush. So Code Pink they were the ones that were out there protesting the Iraq war. There's an organization, a bunch of women that started up, but basically they're just a bunch of communists. And now one of the founders, I believe it's not Medea Benjamin, it's the other lady. There were two co-founders. One of them is actually married to Neville Singham, the guy that's over there hiding out in Shanghai and the one who's funding all the 50501 protests and all the Stop ICE you know, the Tesla takedowns. That Roy Neville Singham is married to one of the co-founders of Code Pink.
That's right. Well, why don't we do this real quick? While I've got it up here, I'll just show it on the screen so everyone can see it. So this is one of the things that SK posted earlier today, I think it was. Yeah, today. And when she gets on here, maybe we can talk her into going into this a little bit deeper. But she says, did you know Code Pink has visited Tehran multiple times, meeting with advisors to then President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, members of the Iranian parliament, and many others. In 2014, Code Pink co-founder Medea Benjamin and other radical left-wing activists attended the regime-sponsored New Horizon conference in Tehran. The conference focused on supposed Zionist control of the politics of the United States and the European Union. It covered a variety of topics. In March 2019, a 28-person Code Pink American peace delegation to Iran met with then Foreign Minister Mohammed and held a press conference criticizing the Trump administration's withdrawal from the nuclear deal. Code Pink co-founder Medea Benjamin used the visit to condemn Israel's supposed influence on U.S. policy. Is Code Pink's support of Iran like their shift from speaking out about China's human rights violation to China is not our enemy after receiving substantial funding from Neville Singham? So just like Nom just mentioned, the Code Pink is founded by the wife of Neville Singham, who is one of the people who are responsible for the No Kings protests and the color revolution that's been going on in this country. But this is what I wanted to show people after I saw her post. So you should not at all be surprised now that you know, with a 360-degree view, Marjorie Taylor Greene, right about the same time that Donald Trump made a decision that he no longer endorsed her and would not support her for the Senate run in Georgia, suddenly Marjorie Taylor Greene starts showing up at protests with Code Pink.
Yep.
And there's another one of her. Look at that. That's her. Protest
so that
Code Pink.
That lady right there is Medea Benjamin. That is one of the co-founders. The other co-founder, and I can't remember her name. SK knows it, obviously, but the other co-founder is the lady that's married to Roy Singham.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's do this. Let's jump into it. Hopefully SK can join us here shortly. I want to start because one of the questions I had all weekend was, when are we going to see Donald Trump come out and give the "he died like a dog" speech? And unfortunately, I didn't get the "he died like a dog" speech, but I got something close to it. So pull up Trump 1 for us so we can hear Donald Trump talking to the American people about the success that they've experienced so far. Jodie Evans is her name, by the way. Jodie Evans with Code Pink.
Jodie Evans, that's right. Yep. Who said that? SK. There she is.
Did,
SK
yeah.
for the win. There we go.
All right. Here's
Night,
Donald Trump.
All over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there.
That's right. You couldn't get there. I mean, I don't think people understand the amount of negotiation that's been going on since we bombed the nuclear facilities. And every step of the way, the Iranian leadership, the Iranian regime has just basically said, no, we don't care. We want nukes, and that's all there is to it. And then,
well, that's not exactly how they operate, actually. So what they do is they stall and they try to play games, right, and they try to draw it out. And then what in the background, so they continue to try to develop uranium. They still try to enrich uranium, and then they also continue to build up their ballistic missile capabilities while they're stalling. It's a big game. I mean, they all do. China does it. Russia does it. Everybody does. Yeah, we'll negotiate. Well, hold on. I'm not so sure about that. Let's spend another 6 months trying to hash out the details of this. But in the meantime, we're going to build up our ballistic missile capabilities, and then we're going to, so that we can launch against you. So this is the game that these guys played. And President Trump was like, you know what? I'm done with them. Blow them up. Kill them all.
Well, and it's not just for that reason alone. I mean,
no, yeah.
Let's be honest. The Iranian regime has been responsible for death and mayhem against the American people and the United States military for 47 years. 47 years, thousands of Americans dead at the hands of the Iranian regime. Thousands.
Do you
Military
remember? Do you remember boot camp down there at Parris Island? What's one of the first things that you learn in Marine Corps history about the barracks bombing in Beirut?
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
That was Iran.
Of course it was.
That was Iran back in the early 80s.
Of course it was, because they're a bunch of terrorists. And I don't know if you have not yet read, folks, the National Security Strategy document that the Trump administration released back in December. If you haven't read it, go read it. You need to read it. If you want to understand what the Trump administration is doing on the global stage, you have to read that document because it lays it out for you. As a matter of fact, I have it right here. And I'm going to go a little bit off track here, if you don't mind. I'm going to pull it up. I'm not going to read the whole damn thing like I find myself getting stuck doing a lot. I actually have some highlighted sections here that are very short that I think it's important for you guys to understand. When you hear people saying that Donald Trump promised no new wars, it's a flat out lie. At no point did Donald Trump say he was not going to take us into any more wars. What he said was, we were not going into any more forever wars. And that is a fundamental difference. A fundamental difference from the way prior administrations operated and this administration operated. Now, I'm not going to be one of those people who ties my entire argument to this idea that we've been at war with Iran for 47 years, so he's not starting a new war. I'm not going to play those semantic games, although it's true. I'm just going to look at the National Security Strategy document, which they provided to us back in November and told us exactly what they're doing. So and if you haven't seen this yet, you should go look this up and you should read it. It's not that long. It's only, what, 15, 17 pages long? And you don't even have to go very far to understand what they're doing. Actually, let me, yep, okay. So just down here in the section on page 4 says, what do we want in and from the world? He says, we want to prevent an adversarial power from dominating the Middle East, its oil and gas supplies, and the choke points through which they pass while avoiding the forever wars that bogged us down in the region at great cost. I mean, that in and of itself right there is exactly why Donald Trump made the decision that he made to pull the trigger and attack Iran. Because in the preceding weeks to making that decision, the Iranian leadership has threatened our military. They've threatened the American people. They've started the process of shutting down trade routes around their country. They've literally gone against everything that he lays out here in this bullet point in the National Security Strategy document. He says it right there. This is what we want from the world. We want to prevent an adversarial power from dominating the Middle East, its oil and gas supplies, and the choke points through which they pass while avoiding forever wars. He's been incredibly crystal clear that this campaign will take as long as it needs to take. And then Iranian people, you can have your country back, but you're going to have to get off your butt and actually go get your country back.
And they will. They will.
They will. These people
are
not Iraqis.
We're going to have to give them some weapons. We're going to have to give them some weapons, but they will.
Well, and that's fine. But let's go down here a little bit further while I have this up, because believe it or not, there's actually a section dedicated to the Middle East. And when I was reading this last time back in December, I was expecting to read a long, drawn out section on the Middle East and how exactly they were going to handle Iran. But it's not. It's actually pretty short. And the reason for that, if you read it, will explain why. Because basically, the world's dependence on Middle Eastern oil is already reducing. So now the strategy is a little bit different. Now the strategy says America will always have core interest in ensuring the Gulf energy supplies do not fall into the hands of the outright enemy, that the Straits of Hormuz remain open, that the Red Sea remain navigable, that the region not be an incubator or exporter of terror against American interests or the American homeland, and that Israel remains secure. We can and must address this threat ideologically and militarily without decades of fruitless nation-building wars. So, folks, you don't have to have any faith at all in Donald Trump if you choose not to. You just have to look at the results that have been handed to you by using the strategy that they've laid out. Donald Trump already attacked Iran once. And what happened? We came home. Donald Trump removed Maduro. What happened? We came home. Because he is following the national security strategy document to a letter. And it goes on and says, but the days in which the Middle East dominated American foreign policy in both long-term planning and day-to-day execution are thankfully over. Over. He's putting an end to this. At the same time that he's been building the Abraham Accords, he's been building relationships and cooperation and partnerships with Middle Eastern countries, many of which, who, by the way, are now under the attack of Iran, which is really stupid of them. It's almost like there's an extinction burst going on right now. Iran's in the middle of an extinction burst, by the way, folks, in case you haven't figured it out.
It's not just Iran. Not just Iran.
True. True.
Hey, so real quick, hey, K Pasto, this is a fantastic idea, right? So if you're on X, and my For You page on X is nothing but sock puppet accounts and slop. In total propaganda and bullshit. Go follow the actual people engaged in this thing. Go follow CENTCOM. In fact, go and watch, go check out General Mike Flynn earlier today. I did see come across my phone while I was driving, where he was essentially praising Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Dan Cain and the messaging that's coming out of the Pentagon. There are no leaks. It is tight. It is well controlled. It is perfect messaging coming out of this so far. You don't have any mess. You have no you don't have any bullshit. Go check it out if you have an opportunity. Right.
Well, here it is.
Right there. Yep.
Until
right
SK gets here, we're going to just pull stuff up and read through it before hopefully she can join us here shortly. But General Flynn posted this: Iran sitrep messaging. The disciplined communication strategy coming out of the Pentagon right now is unlike anything I've seen in my decades of watching this institution, and I've seen a lot. Secretary of War Hegseth and General Dan Cain are operating at a level this country desperately needed. They have established unified command, a clear message, zero leaks, zero backstabbing, and zero globalist interference. They're war fighters leading war fighters, and it shows. Now, that's exactly what you were talking about last week. War fighters leading war fighters. The orchestration to remain on message with the president and the White House team has been essential to save lives and to ensure the American people hear the truth. Agree with this war or not, this is what right looks like when you put the right people in the right seats at the right moment in history. Make no mistake, this is a moment in history. What Secretary of War Hegseth and the CJCS Cain are building is a full restoration of warrior culture and America First national defense and national security. And would you be surprised to find out that what you're witnessing out of the Department of War is exactly what the national security strategy document calls for in terms of building a unified, coherent, highly functioning, highly skilled, highly disciplined military.
War fighters leading warriors. Yes, that's not what we've had. We've had all manner of dudes in dresses pretending to be war fighters. This is so refreshing. This is so one of the other things that you're not going to get from this crowd, these people leading the Department of War, you're not going to get stupid rules of engagement. I mean, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, said that. I think it was yesterday, maybe it was today, I don't remember. But he said, listen, we're not going to tie the hands. We're not going to handcuff our war fighters. You're not going to have any of those stupid rules of engagement. We're not. We're going to go and destroy shit, blow shit up, and come home.
Nom, did you see the video of the embassy being attacked? I can't remember what country it was in, but the embassy it might have been in Pakistan, the U.S. embassy. Yeah.
I didn't see the video,
attacked.
but
holy crap!
I saw that they got their ass handed to them.
Yeah, because you know what? When you have
MSG,
someone like
security guard, no, they fucked them up. Yeah, good.
When you have someone like Pete Hegseth, a war fighter who's calling the shots, and an embassy's under attack, he's telling the Marines, shoot them, shoot them, and there was person after person stumbling out of there in their full-on, nightgowns, running out of the place with their nightcaps on and their nightgowns on, bleeding from their guts. Like that's what war fighting looks like.
That's right. Don't fuck around. See what happens is when you've got these retarded, ridiculous rules of engagement where you don't actually like kill people who attack you, they're emboldened. But no, when you see the videos and the images of Pakistanis who are trying to attack our embassy in response, and they all end up running out there with their intestines falling out of their stomach. Good. That's good messaging. I'm sorry. That's a good visual. That's right. FAFO.
So then
we're probably going to get demonetized because of this, by the way.
Why?
Because we're talking about intestines and stuff.
Yeah, it's possible. Hold on. I need to find something that's in the Dropbox. Can you pull up the mod? No, not that one. I want the other one. I want MADA propaganda 1. Iranian propaganda 1. That's what I want.
Video file?
No. Just the Iranian propaganda 1. We'll get
Is it an image file or video file?
It's an image file. We will get to this epic level embarrassment in a second as we totally dismantle him. But I want to show you guys this. This is so I want you to kind of juxtaposition what you're seeing and hearing from people like General Michael Flynn, who's talking about the discipline and the results of that discipline being a very highly efficient and effective campaign being waged right now. And then you have propagandists that appear to be on the payroll of Iran at this point. Ryan Mata saying, according to RT, which if I'm not mistaken is Russian Times.
Exactly what it is. That's Russian. That's Russian propaganda.
That's right.
He's out there quoting a Russian outlet.
560 troops were killed or wounded after an Iranian missile struck a U.S. military base. Can you believe this crap?
What a fucking tool bag. You know what?
Can you believe it?
No, well, I can. Listen, these are not serious people, right? He wants to be a serious person. That's not a serious person. RT is Russian Times. RT is Russian Times. Russia and Iran are allies, and he's out there like slurping down the chode of Russia Times and passing it off as actual information. What the hell is this guy doing? Where's our clip this? Because this entire segment needs to be clipped, and he needs to be beat over the fucking head with it. I'm sorry.
Oh, I beat him up over the head this weekend a couple times. Of course, he won't respond to me, but I'm not at all surprised. So I thought we would do a little bit of. Can you play the "We Are Winning"? Is there a "We Are Winning"?
Where's the "We Are Winning" buffer?
Bring the "We Are Winning" buffer up
because we've got so many video clips up here. We're just kind of are running out of space. We got to go.
We just need the one. "We Are Winning," and then you can take it down. Well, you may have to bring it back up later. You gotta have it. Wait, why am I seeing the Ryan Mata? There we go.
Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
There we go. All right. So I wanted to play that because with all the doom and gloom that you're seeing and hearing on social media, I decided to go out and do a little bit of research. And I wanted to find out, are we in fact winning? Because it sure as hell seems like from some of these people that we're not winning. So I went out and just asked a couple questions. So far, we've seen, I think the number has been updated. I think there have been a total of 6, not 566 U.S. casualties so far. A handful of wounded, I think about a half a dozen. But let's take a look to see what's been going on with the Iranian leadership, because just earlier today, Donald Trump comes out and said that they've wiped out about 50 of Khomeini's top lieutenants and his entire leadership structure. 50 of them.
They did. There was a guy who was appointed to replace Khomeini, and they got him too. They're like, nope, you're out.
I think they got him within hours of him being.
They did. Yeah.
being put into that Ayatollah. Yeah. So
all right, and all of their boats. Remember, they had like 11 boats in the Strait of Hormuz, and now they have none. Now they have none. Yeah, they're at the bottom of the Strait of Hormuz.
So obviously, the supreme leader Ayatollah Khomeini was killed in the initial strikes. President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was killed. I only learned how to say that from Rush Limbaugh, by the way. He taught me how to say Ahmadinejad. Did you guys know that's how it's pronounced? Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was killed in the airstrikes on his residence. They targeted his residence, and he's not even the president anymore, because that's how big of a I'm trying to think of the right word. That's how big of a douchebag Ahmadinejad. He was awful. Several high-ranking military officials, including the Armed Force General Staff Chief Major General blah blah blah, the Logistics and Support Deputy Major General blah blah blah, the Planning and Operations Head Major General blah blah blah, Logistics Department head, Major General, blah, 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 and the Supreme Leader Office Duty head, Major General, blah, 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 blah. Trump has stated that 48 Iranian leaders have been killed overall, including commanders and officials. They've disrupted Iran's command and control structure, leading to coordination issues and some personal abandoning. People are just leaving. They're like, I don't want to die. I'm going to call the Trump administration by the hundreds and thousands and ask for immunity. Because, you know, that's what happens when you have warfighters calling the shots. They're not playing games. They're not dropping bombs out in the middle of the desert. They're literally dropping them on the heads of the leadership structure of Iran.
Yeah. Well, and you know how Trump works, right? I mean, when these negotiations and all these things are starting to go sideways, Trump will have his negotiators like hand the satellite pictures of their vacation homes that they think we don't know about and say, here, this is where I think you're going to be tomorrow. This is where you're planning to be tomorrow, right? They're not playing around with these people. You're reading off the names. I couldn't do any gooder.
Blah, 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 blah. But that's not it. All right. So let's just be very frank. We're what? It's Monday. This started early Saturday morning.
Not even 72 hours.
72 hours in. 72 hours in. That's it. 72 hours in. This campaign, as it's currently planned out, with about every possible contingency and failure and all the things that go along with some of the detailed planning these guys have been doing, which, by the way, you know, they've been planning this for months, right, folks? You realize that they have been working on this specific battle plan for months.
I actually believe they probably had this battle plan like in a binder for years, actually, not just months.
No. This is something that Hegseth and his team and the Trump administration directly has been planning, along with John Ratcliffe and the CIA, as they've been mapping Khomeini's. I'm going to pull up something I'm going to share with you guys here in a little bit. There's an account on X that I've been following that is giving, I don't know if it's real or not, but it's freaking awesome to read it. So we're going to read through it. The level of coordination that's gone in to being able to drop. You're cutting out, guys. That's not us. That's you. Oh, that's probably Nom.
Is it me?
Did we get shut down?
I don't know.
It's back. Can you guys hear us? Are we there? All right, we're just gonna keep going. The level of coordination that it took to be able to identify where Khomeini was going to be and to do it at a point where he had his entire leadership team with him took months and months and months and months to put together. The Trump administration fully understood that the Iranian radicals were going to push them to a point where they didn't really have any other choice. They knew it.
Yeah.
But the result of that has been after 72 hours, they've already achieved air superiority over Tehran with strikes on over 2,000 targets. They've sunk 9 Iranian warships. The degradation of Iran's missile production and retaliatory capabilities. And you can see that in the frequency and the impact and the effectiveness of the Iranian extinction burst that's going on right now. Continued disruption to Iran's nuclear sites. Trump is basically explaining this as ahead of schedule. So we're only 72 hours in and we're already ahead of schedule. That's how effective they've been. And now Israel is taking out Hamas in other countries, hitting their the news studios, hitting their secret hideouts. Like folks, this is a decapitation effort. Because you can.
I want everybody to think about like what happens after this, right? So Iraq and Afghanistan were problematic because you always had Iran that continued to fund insurgencies, continued to fund terrorism, continued to push back and fight against any effort to implement democracy, whatever the hell that means, and that meant to the people of Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, as a culture, I don't think they're even compatible at this point, but that's neither here nor there. Imagine what it looks like when you've got a country like Iran who, what are the numbers? Some of the speculation, 90% of the country actually hates the regime, and
Yep.
they want the regime gone. I think those are numbers I heard today. I don't know if they're accurate or not, but I'm going to repeat them. 90% of the country wants them gone, and the other 10% are IRGC, employees, family members, regime members, whatever the case may be. But you don't have this. You're not going to have a power vacuum to be filled by terrorists, because the terrorists that were filling it are being decapitated. What I mean by that is the Hezbollah, the Hamas, the Houthis, they are all being decapitated at the exact same time, instead of standing on the side and continuing to shove insurgencies into power vacuums. This is so far what I'm seeing. It's genius. It's genius, just like we saw with Maduro, just like we saw with the nuclear sites. I mean, the people that are pulling, where has this level of strategic genius been for the last 30 years? Where's it been?
Well, it's the age-old question. Like, why didn't prior administrations use this level of strategic planning and execution? Because they didn't want to.
Yeah,
because it's not as though we didn't have the expertise to do this. Donald Trump did not go out and find an entirely new crop of generals to pull this type of stuff off. These people existed in the ranks of the military. Instead,
am I stuck?
I'm not. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, but you got stuck.
Oh, that's weird. We must be getting some interference. Hey, guarding, do whatever you do as you're guarding the grid and fix whatever this problem is. I know you can't fix. Can you hear me all right?
No? I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to do. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I want to pull up an X account that I found, I think on Saturday morning, and have been following it and just kind of reading this almost as like a narrative, just because I think it's really interesting. I don't know how much of this is true, but I would like to think that all or most of it is true. So we're just going to pretend that it's true. Is that fair? All right, let me make sure this is the right one. Hang on a second. Can you see? All right, so this comes from Shanaka Anselm Pereira, whatever that is. So this is actually from Sunday. Okay. So I'm going to read this for people who are listening, but not watching. It says, they did not bomb Iran. They waited for Iran's entire leadership to sit down in the same room, and then they bombed Iran. Months of intelligence, thousands of hours of surveillance and signal intercepts. One variable: the moment the supreme leader, the president, and the senior military command gathered in a single location at the same time. That moment was 8:15 this morning, daylight. Every previous Israeli strike on Iran came at night. June 2025 launched in darkness. October 2024 after midnight. Iran's entire air defense doctrine is built around the assumption that Israel attacks in the dark. Israel's attacked in broad daylight because the target was not infrastructure. The target was a meeting. Reuters confirms strikes targeted Khamenei and blah, blah, blah. CNN confirms months of joint U.S.-Israeli planning. Israeli officials confirm the strike hit the location where Iran's top officials were gathered. Whether Khamenei was moved before the strike or extracted after is the most consequential unknown on the planet right now. By the way, this was before they confirmed that Khamenei was in fact dead. If before, someone inside Iran's or Tehran's inner circle told Jerusalem when and where the meeting would happen. If after, the strike hit the room and he survived. Both scenarios are catastrophic for the regime because Iran's leadership now knows three things. Israel knew where they were meeting. Israel knew when they were meeting. Israel knew who would be in the room. And everything we watched over the past month, the F-22s, the Avda, the tankers at Ben Gurion, something or other emptied to zero. 270 transport flights. All of it was the delivery architecture for one precision strike on one gathering. Every future meeting of Iran's senior leadership now carries one question. Does Israel know about this one too? This is not a military operation. This is the destruction of institutional trust inside a regime. Every general who sits down with, I don't need to read the rest of this because he's dead. He's dead. He died like a dog. Bottom line is they've been working on this for months to know exactly where he was going to be, when he was going to be there, and who he was going to be there with. And the only way they could have known that, well, here, I'm going to show you one more that this guy posted because this is even better. So let me pull this back up. This is even better. All right. So They blindfolded his own officials before taking them to meet him. It was not enough. In the final weeks of Ayatollah Khomeini's life, Iranian security protocols reached a level of paranoia without modern precedent. Senior officials who needed to meet the supreme leader were physically blindfolded before being transported to his location. Blah, blah, blah. The secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council was blindfolded before being driven to Khomeini's hideout, then traveled onward to Amman for diplomatic meetings. This was not metaphorical. This was an intelligence service so terrified of penetration that it could not trust its own leadership with the coordinates of its head of state. Khomeini had retreated into a private underground bunker in Tehran, his second time hiding since the 12-day war with Israel in June of 2025. The bunker sat within a complex network of interlocking tunnels. According to senior Iranian military officials, the two deepest bunkers could only be penetrated by American munitions. Khomeini was not in either of them. The CIA had been tracking his movements for months, mapping routines and security patterns. During the 12-day war, American agencies learned how Khomeini and the Revolutionary Guard communicated and moved under pressure. That knowledge built the surveillance networks and predictive models that followed him from compound to compound. On June 17th, 2025, Donald Trump posted on True Social that he knew exactly where Khomeini was hiding. He called him an easy target. He said the United States had no intentions of killing him, at least not at the time. 10 days later, Trump wrote that he had saved Khomeini from an ugly and humiliating death. Love that guy.
Trump is hilarious.
8 months of warning. The president of the United States told him publicly on a social media platform that American intelligence had located him. Khomeini responded by going deeper underground, blindfolding his own ministers and shrinking the circle of trust to almost nothing. On Saturday morning, the CIA determined that Khomeini would chair a high-level meeting of Iran's political and military leadership at a secure compound in central Tehran. The intelligence offered what the New York Times described as high fidelity on his position. The original strike had been planned for nighttime. The timing was changed to morning to catch the leadership assembled in one place. The blindfolds did not work. The bunkers did not work. 8 months of warnings did not work. The most paranoid security apparatus in the Middle East could not outrun a surveillance architecture it could not see, could not understand, and could not counter. You can blind your own people. You cannot blind the satellites. And by the way, that's scary as hell to realize that we live under that type of censorship, or I guess a surveillance state. But the fact that they used it to take this guy out after 47 years is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it's actually we're at the point in technological sort of advancement where we're all shocked that they haven't found a suspect in the old Savannah Guthrie's mother's kidnapping, simply because we just expect them to have this information at the ready when they want it. This is pretty shocking to me.
Yeah, well, actually, it seems like if you listen to Bongino talk about that, he's talked about it a few times. He talks about how the local authorities are basically stiff arming the FBI, who has this technology, so they may not be fully benefiting from it.
No, I understand. But so I want to go back to a point that I made, actually, that Pete Hegseth made, and I don't recall if it was today or if it was yesterday when he made it, when he said we're not playing around with these stupid rules of engagement anymore. And from the Amazing Torah, who, by the way, is always a great commenter in here, always, hitting our screen. They hit him on the 11th day of the 9th month. The Islamic calendar, as we all know, is very different, which why 9/11 for us, the September 11th had Islamic meaning to them when they did it. It was on our calendar, but on their calendar, it was Ramadan. Mm-hmm. And normal rules of engagement would have said, well, it's their holy months. We got to leave them alone. No, Trump said, blow them up. Sorry, we got them. I don't care if it's Ramadan, because historically, other secretaries of defense and other administrations would have been like, yeah, listen, we've got everybody right where we want them, but we can't do anything about it because it's Ramadan. Not Trump. He's like, we're not playing by those rules anymore. We're not going to risk another Abbey. We're not going to risk another 13 Marines dead or another Beirut bombing or wherever they're going to try to strike next, whether it's a club in Austin or, a gay bar, down in Florida. We're not doing it anymore. I don't care if it's Ramadan. That's their problem, not ours.
That's right. And the result of that are the Iranians dancing. We're probably going to end up demonetized for using that song, but I don't freaking care because
Probably.
everybody needs to see that.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, so back to this point, Family Crest is right. Not only do they use their religion to wage war, they use it to justify war, especially the mullahs in Iran. I mean, they are 12th imamers. I mean, for those of you that I can't go too deep in it, I don't understand it completely, but that is a death cult view of Islam that they have. And you'd have to go all the way back to early days of Glenn Beck back in the early 2000s to get a full recap of the 12th Imam and what that truly means. But they use their religion or their understanding of their religion as justification to attack. So you're right. We will not honor that. In fact, we're not going to allow it to hamstring us and handcuff us from defending ourselves. Sorry.
That's right.
I don't care.
That's right. We won't. Can you bring up The World Celebrates, the MP4, real quick? Because it's not just people in Iran that are celebrating in the streets. It's happening everywhere. As a matter of fact, I had this former MAGA TikTok debate host who has turned full-on anti-Semitic, filled with rage and hate towards Israel, post the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen today. He posted an image of the Iranian flag with the lion on it and was like, see, look, not everybody in San Francisco loves the fact that the Iranian regime has been removed. And he's so stupid, he didn't realize that the flag that is being hung from buildings in California, of all places, is the pre-1979 Iranian flag, the one that symbolizes liberation and freedom from the radical Ayatollahs. Even in radical California, they're dancing in the streets. But so are they dancing everywhere else?
We've got too many videos. Give me a second.
Right, we don't have to do that. We can
let me
get rid of the baby Trump one. The baby winning Trump. Get rid of that. Get that out of there.
I don't know where that is. Here. So I made room. I got rid of one video file. The World Celebrates.
Just World Celebrates. No number. I think people have probably already seen some of this, but check this out. Australia, Canada, Great Britain, Switzerland, Germany, France. Everywhere. They're celebrating all over the world. So somebody explained to me why these life losers like Nick Fuentes is posting on X, Trump betrayed MAGA and America first. He's lost his mandate to govern. I cannot and will not vote for the GOP unless they put America and Americans first. If you keep voting after they dragged us into a regional war with Iran, then you will vote for absolutely nothing. And either right before that or right after that, he fully announced that he will be voting for Democrats, like we always knew he would, because he's a fraud. And anybody who follows this guy, you are being led like a pig to the slaughter. He's a fraud. He's always been a fraud. He will always be a fraud. This is the guy who hates Israel more than he loves himself. The guy who salutes Hitler and Stalin believes that he is leading a movement of young men. And in fact, all he's doing is radicalizing young men who have been desperate for somebody to stand up for him. And it's unfortunate that they're looking at him as that person, because this guy is disgusting. You have people dancing in the streets around the world celebrating the death of the Ayatollah, and Nick Fuentes is commanding his followers to vote Democrats now. And he's not the only one.
Yeah, well, fuck him.
It's quite disgusting. But the good news is they're not winning this argument more broadly. Last week, Nom, we talked about this. I think one of the problems that a lot of us deal with is we spend a lot of time on social media. So it's very easy to start to believe that the gaslighting and the propaganda that you see is in fact the dominant thought process of people in the country. Folks, you realize that only 9% of the American population is on X, right? Only 9%. And what you're seeing on X, particularly from the propagandists, is a very small handful of people who are monetizing this effort to make money and largely don't believe what they're saying at all. But they know.
Did you see what Cat Turd posted today of the Hodge twins?
Yeah, I have it. It's in there.
Do you?
Yep. Let me pull it in right now.
Because so while you pull this in, because to Patriot Dad's point, right? This is all about monetization. So the Hodge twins, everybody knows the Hodge twins. They've been around for a long time. And I think they're probably one of these sets of creators who, watched monetization start to struggle and then realized, I can make money by saying things that the leftist bots, because what's driving most of this engagement for them is the sock puppet accounts and the bot accounts. So is this the one where they had two exact separate opinions?
This
on the platform
is
they were on.
Hey, look, SK is here. Let's get her in once we're went with this. Yeah, this is the Hodge twins. The couple, or the twins that are on X, posting that President Trump has completely lied to his voters, backstabbed our country, and has disgraced his legacy beyond repair at this point, beyond fall from grace I've ever seen. And then at the same exact time, over on Facebook, they're saying, we voted for Trump for a third time back in 2024, so we trust that he will do what's right for America. Love it or hate it, what the president is doing in Iran isn't illegal. The Democrat Party needs serious reform. So while they're on X monetizing off of the grift of anti-Semitic slop, they are over on Facebook supporting the president. It's right there. This is what they're doing. Most of the people that you're seeing on social media know they're lying to you, and they're doing it because they can. Let's get SK up here. I saw her.
I'm trying. I'm working on it. Here she comes.
There she is.
Hey,
Hi.
what's up?
While we're
Fine.
introducing, so thank you, Clipmaster Jake. I completely missed it because my phone is way over here in a different place than it normally is. So yeah, we do. We got a $5 Rumble rant for Family Crest. This show gives me a reason to look forward to Monday, and that is saying a lot. Thank you, Family Crest. Appreciate it.
Me too. I just try to get through Monday
that's
so I can
great.
get to the show. SK, did he catch the ball?
Well, yeah, actually, but he only played 1 inning. Long story.
Oh.
We'll have to talk about it later because I
All
hate people, and yeah, apparently you can just cuss people out. I don't know.
I
Okay.
saw this.
Anyway,
I saw this
and
meme
then my
today
phones
on
died. Both of them
That's so
died.
good. I saw this meme after you were texting us on Instagram, and it was perfect. It was like this introverted mom who says, if my kids ever understood how many people I force myself to talk to so they can play their favorite sport, they would love me forever, or something like that. And I'm like, that's my wife right there. That is my wife.
That's 100% it. I do not like people. I mean, I used to, but I mean, most of the kids have played baseball together for a really long time. So, oh shit, hold on.
Oh, she's taking phone calls during the show now. This show's going off the rail. All right, let's do this.
I usually put it on Do Not Disturb. I forgot. And my phones were dead, so I had to wait for them to come back on. So
That's quite all right. Because I don't know if you've seen these, because you've been MIA this
I
weekend
heard like
also.
2 minutes of the podcast at 2 different times. And then I typed I hate people, and my phone died immediately after that.
What? SK is much better to the well, yeah. I mean, Nam and I are just hairy like grumps. That's all we are. We're just grumpy, hairy people.
It's about right.
Well,
You get to
I'm
be
a
our
mess.
age. That's
Straight
about
from the
all we have to
baseball
offer.
Field, freezing. I still can't feel my toes.
I'm
Yeah.
becoming increasingly more grumpy too as I get older, by the way. But
So
I think
have you
that's
guys-
natural.
Have you guys talked about Hillary Clinton yet?
No, we're still on the war.
Oh,
Because we're at
well,
war.
you guys can talk about that.
All right.
Yeah,
let's
I don't
do
know that we're going to talk about Hillary tonight. Maybe I don't know.
What?
I
Why?
haven't- I
I
haven't-
listened to almost
I haven't
all
seen
of her
any of it.
testimony
I
while I
haven't
was there
seen any of
since
it.
before 5 o'clock, and
I haven't seen any
I
of it.
almost had to turn it off. I got so mad.
She's awful. Maybe we wait till Wednesday to bring her up. What do you think about that? You guys
That's
want to do
fine.
Hillary on Wednesday, Hillary Bill on Wednesday? We'll see if it makes sense to do it on Wednesday.
I
All
got
right.
so mad, you guys. So mad. I mean, I
bet.
was like, did you see the text I sent you guys? I was
Yeah.
like furious.
I saw. All right, here we go. I'm going to pull this up. So different perspectives, right? We got the Hodge twins who are on X talking about how Trump has betrayed the American people, over on Facebook at the same time, telling people that they still support the president. You've got Nick Fuentes talking about how Trump betrayed the American people. And then you've got people like this.
With a message for every single American who voted for President Trump. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. God bless President Trump, God bless the US military, and God bless America. We can't wait until Iran is free and we can welcome you back to our country with open arms and be the allies that we used to be before the Islamic regime took over our country in 1979. That's it. Thank you. Thank you so much, and God bless America.
So she's not like a Johnny come lately to the scene. She has been in this fight, making these videos, I think for maybe since Facebook, since early days of Instagram, that woman. She has been begging for this. So listen, I mean, if you're one of these leftists or one of these black pillars who say that you're conservative, but you're really not, and you're on the wrong side of this, I don't have any sort of compassion for whatever happens to you next, frankly, because you're just on the wrong side of history, dude. And you look really, really fucking stupid, like really stupid. These are actual women. These are actual women that have been begging for some sort of liberation from just the overt oppression. And I don't want to hear another single fucking leftist say a word about women being oppressed if you are not out there celebrating the overthrow of the Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran. I just don't. You have no room to stand on. You look like a fucking moron. Sorry.
Did you guys talk about the fact that Ryan dude commented on a post saying the American people stand with Iran?
Yeah, we're going to get to Ryan Maddow. We're going to spend a whole segment on that epic life loser here shortly, because he has still refused to respond to anything that I've said to him. I think he's scared. I think he's afraid, and I don't blame him one bit. I don't blame him at all. So, but while we have Iranians who are dancing in the street thanking President Trump, you have contributors to the Young Turks, Anna, whatever the heck her name is.
Where'd you get that number
saying
from?
stupid things like this.
Okay, well, how many do
Wait,
you ready for?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm ready.
You were still talking. Are you ready?
Yeah, bring her
you
up.
think we
She's
killed?
the one here in the middle.
We don't know the
Yeah, it's
exact
Anna
number.
Kasparian.
But to say that 30,000 people were slaughtered during those like short weeks is ridiculous to me. Iran has put out specific names of individuals who have been killed, and it's around 3,000. We don't know what the exact number is, but you really think 30,000 people were killed? You're not going to question that at all? 30,000?
Well, I'm curious, if you don't think it's 30,000, how many do you think it was?
I don't know the exact number. No one knows the exact number.
But you know...
But
if you don't know the number, how do you know? Well, hang on.
You don't have to agree with the regime in Iran.
Hang on a second.
I've said multiple times. I'm not going to hang on for a second. I've said multiple times. I don't agree or like the regime in Iran. That doesn't mean that it's untrue that they never capitulated to what Israel demanded of them. Whereas here in the United States, we literally spill blood and use our treasure on behalf of Israel. That's the point that Cenk was trying to make. And I think it's a pretty accurate point.
Okay, you can make that point. I'm questioning the... Hang on 1 second, please. I'm questioning the use of the word courageous about a ruthless, despotic monster. And I'm curious why you are so confident it's not 30,000 people who were killed, but you have no idea how many people were killed. How can you be sure it wasn't 30,000?
No, I don't. I don't know how many people were killed. You don't know how many people were killed.
Right, so you don't know it wasn't 30,000.
The highest number you've heard is questionable to say the least, especially...
All right, that's enough of her. Quick question. Nom, SK. Didn't we just walk through an exercise out of Minneapolis where 2 radical left-wing Antifa protesters were killed in self-defense with law enforcement, were being attacked? One of them was being run over by her car. Didn't we just have this entire country thrown almost into citywide riots over 2 protesters? And now you have Anna Kasparian, whatever the hell her name is, from the Young Turks out there, making the case that 30,000 protesters, 30,000, who cares? It's just a few thousand people who are trying to speak their mind. It's fine if it's done in Iran, but damn it, you law enforcement in the United States, you ICE agents, you damn well better not defend yourself from us.
This is my problem. My problem is you have the left that says all of this shit about defending democracy and spreading democracy and peace building and all this bullshit about democracy. Donald Trump's a threat to democracy. He's a dictator. He's authoritarian. He's basically Hitler. We get it, okay? They talk about it all the time. And then you arrest an actual dictator like Maduro and they scream free Maduro and they're protesting in the streets. And then we have this going on with Iran when we can stop an actual threat that's been a threat to this country for decades and decades and decades. There are lots of deaths that still haven't been avenged either on the hands of Iran. They were operating through all of these different wars in the Middle East. It was always Iran funding things, having proxies. They are on our soil doing crazy shit. They're working with all of our adversaries. They hate us. They scream death to America all the time. And then we have Trump going in with precision, trying to take out actual targets, waiting till all the leaders are in the room. Why would you wait? Why would you not take advantage of that? If you know all the leaders are in the room, I'd be like, do it. Now's the time. That's exactly what he did. You have them go over there to Iran, and they're trying to do multiple things in Iran, in my opinion. Stop the threat against America, against Israel. I think this is going to bring broader peace. And he's taken out an actual piece of shit dictator that like is actually oppressive.
That's right.
And then you have the Democrats again protesting in the streets, and you have people like Adam Schiff saying that that the Ayatollah of Iran is not a bad guy. Like what? Like, I don't understand this. Is what I'm saying. Like, Trump is actually Hitler, you guys. But the Ayatollah
I'm going to show
of
you
Iran,
here in a little bit
not a
what
bad
Hitler
guy.
looks like in
Also,
modern
Maduro,
times.
you should free him.
That's right. That's right. Well, good news is not everybody agrees with Anna Kasparian or whatever the hell her name is. More Iranian women dancing and celebrating the news that the brutal, murderous Ayatollah Khamenei and his top leadership are dead. Excited, thrilled, dancing in their homes. Not everyone agrees with Anna, the leftist, Kasparian, whatever the heck her name is.
I don't think I've ever seen an ugly Iranian woman. I'm just saying. Have you?
Well, they're all ugly when you put that giant bag over them.
No, but I mean, like, for
Oh,
real.
no.
I don't
You're
know
right.
that I've ever seen an ugly Iranian woman. They're all beautiful.
Yeah. Hey, you guys want to see something really funny? So you know that Anna Kasparian or whatever, you know who she works for, right? She works for Cenk Uygur over at the Young Turks. So Cenk got a bit of a mouthful today, and he posted a he posted a poll on his account. Who has done more damage to the world, Ali Khamenei or Benjamin Netanyahu? You see the results? Didn't go so well.
On what planet can you think that Israel has done more damage to the world than Iran? What is this dude smoking?
Cenk Uygur got his ass handed to him so bad that halfway through the poll, he had to come out on his account and basically just complain about the fact that they're losing. It is an empirical fact that Netanyahu has killed more people than more civilians, more reporters, and more human rights workers. He subjugated 5.5 million Palestinians for decades, committed a genocide, and attacked 7 of his neighbors and dragged America into 7. Yeah, well, the problem for you, Cenk, is that 68% of your poll, which was almost 200,000 people, think that you're full of crap, dude. You're full of crap.
There was another poll. Who was it that did the other poll? Was it Vindeman?
Probably.
It was one of those loser whiner, like beta boy Democrats that did a poll about, I think it was the war in Iran, and it wasn't turning out like they wanted, so they ended the poll. Oh no,
I think it was Massey. It was Massey, yeah. I saw cat turd dragging him. Yeah, cat turds dragging across the internet.
Description, one of those beta whiny liberal soy boys because he fits the bill. There is no difference at this point in time.
All right, we're gonna switch gears because SK and Nom and multiple people have already properly set this next segment up for us. So you guys who have been following me on social media, on X and other places, know that there's just something inside of me that cannot stand when somebody knowingly lies to their audience. I just have like a visceral reaction to it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the amount of time and energy that this panel puts into the research that we do, the amount of effort that we put into trying to get things right and be as accurate as we can. To watch somebody come out and just flat out lie to people just makes my blood boil. And I can't help it. I don't like going after people like this. I know some people enjoy like the clapback videos. I don't particularly enjoy that because it draws something out of me that I don't really like, which is this desire to like want to crush people. I mean, I have this capacity for violence, but I try to keep it tamp down as much as possible until I see stuff like this. I'm just going to play this. Nom has not seen this yet. SK, I don't know if you've seen it yet either. This is the latest Ryan Mata Iranian propaganda hit piece. You ready?
The loss of their supreme leader. The country is devastated, and I have a feeling over the next couple of weeks and months, you're going to hear this man talk a lot. You're going to see a lot of videos of him surfacing the internet. And what they told you, how he felt about women, wasn't the fucking case.
Is that the dead guy?
You've seen women walking around Iran. They're not wearing hijabs. They're not wearing headscarves. Some of them are, sure, but at least 50% of them aren't. You see,
that's
malls,
not true.
That is not true. My sister-in-law is literally from Iran. She has to wear it when she goes back.
Hold on. You guys can't miss this. All right, you can't miss this. Don't talk through it. Everyone needs to hear this because he's like the whispering propagandist. All right, so everyone pay attention. Play.
Some of them are, sure, but at least 50% of them aren't. You see in malls, 50% of the girls walking through the mall don't have the hijab. Some of them are, sure, but at least 50% of them aren't. You see in malls, 50% of the girls walking through the mall don't have the hijab on, and they're walking, nobody's spitting on them, nobody's pushing them. But if you're a Christian and you walk into Israel right now with your cross, you're gonna get spit on. If you're a priest, if you're a woman out there preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, you'll get spit on, you'll get attacked, you'll get punched in the face. But over in Iran, you could do that perfectly fine, wouldn't have an issue. Let that sink in.
That's just not fucking true. That's just not even remotely true.
Patently false. Everything about what he just said is false. He didn't say one single sentence in that entire video that was true.
Yeah, I mean, how do you even argue against something like that, where the entire thing from start to finish was a lie?
Here's how you do it, with just a little bit of research. And of course, when I presented this to them, nobody has anything to say, because you see, when you attempt to whitewash the culture of horror that Ali Khamenei created in Iran for the Iranian people, particularly women and especially children.
But it's not like it's a secret either. I mean,
I understand.
What?
As a matter of fact, there has been some really disturbing reporting over the last couple of years talking specifically about how the Iranian security forces have been killing, torturing, and abusing children as part of their political propaganda. Children, not.
Oh, you mean like Palestine? It's almost like they're all the same. Weird.
Yeah.
Like the same people who have spent the last 8 months telling the American people that Donald Trump and the Republican Party are predators who are protecting pedophiles are now out there trying to whitewash what is happening to kids in Iran and what has been happening to kids in Iran. I mean, it doesn't stop there. It continues. This report alone right here talks about Iranian leaders have unleashed their brutal security forces to sexually assault and torture children. They have not been spared from their disgusting treatment as they are trying to clamp down on the protesters. Like, let that sink in for a second. You have an American propagandist who's pretending and trying to convince his 300,000 follower audience that the Khamenei, the Ayatollah, doesn't think that way about women. He likes women. He allows them to do whatever they want, and yet has allowed his security forces to sexually torture children.
I have a question. Do you guys all know people that are Jewish?
Yes.
Have you ever had somebody that's Jewish treat you like crap because you're Christian, or do you feel like you're kind of the same? Just
never.
I mean,
never.
I've never been treated bad by. I went to one of my friends' bat mitzvahs growing up. I never was treated any different way. We have Jewish people that have married into our family. I've never even heard that Jewish people hate Christians.
It's because they don't. To Family Crest's point, because I think we need to keep going on this. This topic needs to be burned into the minds of everybody who's paying attention. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Hold on. It's this one. Can you guys see that? Did it change? No, let me switch the sharing. Hold on. This needs to be burned into the minds of everybody who's trying to make a decision on how. Why is it not? oh, there it is, on how they're going to view this conflict between radical Islamic terrorists in Iran versus the efforts to try to create a more stable Middle East as part of the national security strategy. This is a report that was issued to the International Development Committee of Parliament in the UK. I think this was back in 2013, 2014, that contains written evidence submitted by an organization called Justice for Iran. Some of the stuff that is in here is horrifying. Like number 5, for example, based on JFI's findings, some of the various forms of sexual torture, such as the rape of young girls prior to their execution, were conducted in a systematic way and were based on an interpretation of an order by Ayatollah Khamenei, the Islamic Republic supreme leader at the time. In addition, various verses from the Quran and Sharia's based fatwas were used to claim that women who were captured in battle with the kafar, whatever, infidels, were akin to property and slaves of the army of Islam. And now you have Ryan Mata out there trying to convince people that Khamenei loved women. He loved them. And yet the fatwas that were issued under his authority allowed women to be kept as slaves. Slaves. I mean, it goes on. It talks down here about in number 12. This is the first time that the topic of rape in prisons was discussed openly and widely by an individual member of the governing body as Islamic Republic of Iran. Do you know that a large number of people have died under torture by interrogators? Do you know that in the Mashhad prison, due to a lack of medical care and attention for young girls, they were forced to excise the ovaries and uterus of around 25 of those young girls, and in that manner deform their bodies and reproductive organs? This is happening, folks. This is what's been going on in Iran for the last 47 years. The last 47 years. The belief that rape was administered as an organized crime against political prisoners in Iran, particularly since the rise of Islamists to power, was strengthened by an increasing number of victims' public testimonies. Videos about their testimonies were widely disseminated, availably published, et cetera, et cetera. But this one right here, and this will be the last one before we move on. One of the most significant topics was the systematic rape of virgin girls before execution as an organized form of sexual torture. And then it goes on to say that based on our findings, some of the various forms of sexual torture, such as the rape of virgin girls prior to their execution, was conducted in a systematic way and were based on the interpretation of an order given by Ayatollah Khamenei. The Ayatollah Khamenei gave the order that was used to systematically rape and torture little kids who were political prisoners because of the things that their parents believed. And yet, Ryan Mata and the other Iranian propagandists like him are actively trying to convince their audience and the rest of social media that this is just a war for Israel.
I have no. There are certain people like who you already know how they would behave if you ran into them in public, and I already know exactly what he would do. He would turn his eyes and he would avert his gaze and he would walk away. Yeah.
Like, this is what we're up against, folks. I titled this episode, "This is War." Not because we're at war with Iran, but because we are at war with propaganda in this country. We have a select group of people who have made conscious decisions that they are going to use their social media accounts, their platforms, and their influence to support a terrorist organization that was raping and torturing girls. And at the same time, accuse Donald Trump and the Republican parties of doing the same thing.
I've had a thought. Tell me what you guys think about this. So, I mean, and I've thought about this a lot. I think I've only said it one time on social media. But Do you think that it's possible that these people aren't necessarily supporting Iran and terrorists or supporting this crazy shit that they've been supporting in order to go against Trump or whatever? Do you think that maybe the motivation is censorship and making sure that the Democrat goals that they had, that they've been talking about, that they already had sort of implemented and tried to fully implement? You know, they campaigned on holding people civilly and criminally liable for what they post on social media, holding social media companies liable for what people post on their platform if they don't censor it or take it down if it's mis or disinformation, the Disinformation Governance Board. Do you think that this is their way of getting normal people to say enough is enough? There's too much bullshit. I can't handle all this bullshit all the time.
I don't think that the Ryan Mattas of the world are smart enough to do that. I think that there's multiple layers playing out here. I think, and I'm going to show you guys here in a minute why I think that people at the Thomas Massie level, yeah, absolutely. I think they could be deploying a strategy to be able to bring in the censorship apparatus that you've been talking about, that we've been laying out over the last several months with the Dignity Index and the ways that they can silence speech that's uncomfortable. Because let's be honest, what Ryan Mattas says is uncomfortable, but he should absolutely be allowed to say it. Absolutely. Yep. I would fight for his right to say the dumbest, most disrespectful things ever, but it doesn't mean that you have to listen to him. It's that simple. Now, I don't think people like this guy has two brain cells to rub together to convince me that he is behind some grand strategy. I just think he's a freaking potato.
The war in Iran going, it's going this well. Yeah, look at that. That's the face you make when you destroy and burn down your entire presidency, listening to bullshit lies from Israeli military intelligence, and them telling you, oh, if you just kill the Ayatollah, the whole government's gonna collapse in on itself in just this weekend, and it'll be the fastest war ever. And guess what didn't fucking happen, right? And it's going so well, that Donald Trump has actually offered Iran a ceasefire. And you know what Iran said to him? Fuck you. Gave him the birds and said, you called the music, motherfucker. Now let's dance. For Iran to win this, all they have to do is make it too costly for the United States to continue.
I think he needs to have another beer. I don't think he had enough beers before he made that video. That's what I think.
That's why I was saying earlier. So this guy doesn't have any concept of who he is actually talking about and who he's dealing with. This Trump administration is not playing by the artist formerly known as whatever the fuck his name is. That's what I'm just going to call him from now on. Whatever the fuck his name is, and the Ryan Matta retards of the fucking world who just don't have any comprehension of who Pete Hegseth is, the job that he's doing, the job that President Trump has entrusted in him. This is not Barack Obama's. This is not George Bush's military. Okay.
Hey, Nom, let me ask you a question. Keep going. Go ahead.
Well, the guy just came out and said Trump expected this to be over in a weekend.
If he did, then why has he got a 4 to 6 week plan laid out?
No, he didn't. They actually, when did he post that video? Because
that was today. This morning.
Okay, well, I mean, that's funny because Saturday Trump said this is going to take 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
To reach our objectives.
No, it was yesterday. It was March 1st.
Okay, so yesterday, sorry.
Okay.
So it's been 24 hours. I saw it this morning. So let me ask you guys a question. You guys are smart people. SK, you have a pretty strategic brain, especially as it comes to military things. I know we talk about this all the time. She knows exactly what's going on. No, she doesn't. But
I can just guess because I have common sense
and logic, common sense.
And I'm good at strategic planning, I guess. I know nothing about the military, but somehow I can call things before they happen.
Let's assume for a second that you are the commander in chief and you have just kicked off a campaign to totally decapitate the leadership from the top to the bottom of a terrorist organization, nation state, and you don't want to get into a forever war. You just want to remove the power structure and remove their ability to totally destabilize the region in the process. What would be the first thing you do when new leadership comes in to that country? what would you do, or what would you want to do?
You would want to make peace with them and make some sort of agreement, some sort of a deal. Listen, here's how it's going to go. We're going to be friends, and you're not going to come at the U.S. You're not going to come at anyone in your region. No more going after Israel. No more Saudi Arabia. No more anyone. Keep your bombs to yourself. Everybody needs to play nice in the sandbox, literally.
So if you were the commander in chief who just over the last 72 hours watched 50 or so of Iran's top leadership be removed from the board, when do you think would be a good time to go to Iran, the remaining people, and say, are you ready to talk yet?
Like right after you kill all of their leaders and they watch them all die and they're terrified because they don't know what the U.S. is going to do next.
Okay, so last question. What happens to those new leaders if they tell you to pound sand?
They get
boom boom.
out.
They get
You
boom,
blow
boom.
them up.
You find new
They go
leaders,
boom boom.
but
blow
not
them
because you say, no, you can't do this. You just blow them up because we're not going in there. We're not doing regime change. They're going to be in charge of regime change. But, you know, I'm sure that the United States is just is going to make it well known if they don't like who's stepping up to the plate before they actually get there. I mean, if they have a democratic election and the people elect someone, I don't see Donald Trump being like, yeah, no, we're not going to have that guy. We want this other guy. I see more of like what you're talking about as this is progressing and, you know, people are stepping up to lead. And when the United States notices who's stepping up to lead, if they're going to be oppressive, terrible people that are going to continue what the Ayatollah was doing, I would think you'd take them out and wait for someone new to step up. But that's what I would do. But I know nothing about the military.
So you mean you don't have an advanced military strategy degree, but you were able to figure out why after 72 hours the president would go to Iran and say, hey, do you guys want to talk yet?
Yeah, common sense, because what you do is peace through strength by showing your strength and scaring the shit out of people. And then you say, okay, how's this? Are we ready to talk? And if they say no, you do it again until they're ready to talk. You make it till they have to talk. Like, I mean, we can turn this whole place into glass if you want to. How far you want to go?
Yeah. Well, something's going on over in Rumble. Dave, is it a Rumble? Are you guys trying to create like a retard alert? Is it the green siren? Is that what you're doing?
A retard alert? What are you talking about?
Is that what it is?
Is Nom rubbing his face because of the Rumble chat? What's going on? What is the green? No, it's not a retard alert. It's the
retard alert.
It's the shoot. What's that guy's name? The red Muppet. What's his name? The red Muppet. Elmo. It's Elmo on fire. It's the Elmo on
retard.
Fire.
No, it's the retard alert. There with me. You guys are hilarious. It's so the green siren is the retard alert.
I see. So who's the retard then? Is it the artist formerly named as whatever the heck his name
That
is?
dude's actually
Got it.
Nada.
He might need a little rehab. Every time I've seen one of his videos, I haven't seen his videos in a long time until recently.
I bet he drinks Bud Light too, doesn't he?
or like Busch Light.
Busch Light's not bad when you're thirsty. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've had a Busch Light or any beer for that matter, but nonetheless,
they voted. The green siren is the retard alert. Okay, I got it.
You had Nom confused and me even more confused because I
wasn't confused. I was just because I can. You're right. I'm not watching my phone because it's over here. Normally, it's closer when I'm at my desk at home, but so I can't see it. But I can still see it here, folks. We can see your Rumble chats
you
here.
Can't see far away or up close. Did you get those glasses yet, Nom?
No, those are mine. Mine's going to take 2 to 3 weeks, and they're coming.
He said he was getting glasses too. He went to the eye doctor before you did.
Contacts. No, I'm fine. I got it sorted out.
I want the glasses. I just think it'd be cool to wear readers for a while. I don't want the ones that kind of come down halfway down your nose so you can look over top of them.
Bifocals.
Yeah. That's what I want.
Those will give you a headache.
I ended up getting, for those of you guys that care, I ended up getting, what kind did I get? They were Oakleys. I got Oakley bifocals. 3D printed before dude drinks White Claw.
I believe that. That I totally believe.
Anyway,
I don't know about that guy, but he definitely drinks. He probably needs to. I think he drinks too much because every time I've seen one of his videos here in the last few months, he he seems like he's been drinking.
See,
like
but
this. He
that doesn't
stopped.
equate for me though, SK, because you do some of your best content ever when you've had
But
a couple of shots without
last
food.
time I drank was on here, and the time before that was on here, and the time before that was on here. I've drank more since we started this Friday After Dark than I have in the last 2 years. I don't drink very often.
Very good
There's a difference
point.
between drinking all day and like drinking in the evening. You know, having a drink with dinner or something like that. Lots of people do that. I just don't like alcohol. I only drink alcohol for one purpose, and it's to just barely touch that point, and then I like to back off. I don't like to take it too far. Friday was too far.
Can I real quick before we move on, just one quick point, because I did see that the artist formerly named as whatever the hell his name is, put a post out and said that after because people have not been responding to these folks well at all. If you go into their comments, they're not being ratioed by sock puppets like they try to do to us. Like real people are in there asking them like, what in the hell happened to you? Why are you doing this? And he's been getting hammered. And I did see that he posted and said that a bunch of people today tried to call his work to get him fired. Please don't do that, folks. Please don't do that, because look, at the end of the day, the guy still needs to be able to support his family, right? I see Nom's like, I don't really know if I agree with you. Where did she go? SK, where'd you go?
No, I was cocking my like, where'd SK go? No, I agree. No, don't call
and get the guy fired. Just
stupid.
trash him online.
I hate that.
Just trash him online. Make sure that the content that he puts out, when people read it, they know they're not alone and feeling like they just watched the dumbest thing in the world. If people feel like, hey, I just watched that and that was really stupid, and they see a bunch of people in the comments that agree with them, that's going to start to change people's minds about whether they follow these propagandists. Yeah, don't get them fired. Just stop freaking listening to them. It's that simple.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of, I mean, especially, people who like, I don't know what he does for a living. I'm assuming does something with automotives,
like
and
blue collar stuff, like
vehicles.
welding, and
fine. You know what? That's all well and fine. Now, listen, you got people who are like teachers and nurses who are like threatening to like not treat their patients, because that's an entirely different problem, right? That is an entirely different problem. You've got teachers who are, trying to take your kids and make them go, protest ICE. Yeah, fire those fuckers, right? Fire the nurses that are threatening to poison MAGA or refusing to treat them. Get them the fuck out of there. But
that's right.
Someone like the artist formerly known as whatever the fuck his name is, he's a blue collar dude, man. He can have his own freaking opinion. I just think it's stupid, and I don't think you should follow his shit anymore.
And I will say, even these people that we're sitting here talking about, I feel like these are people that are like would-be Trump supporters, even if they're pretending like they don't support Trump. I feel like they're would-be Trump supporters. And there's a difference between people who like are would-be Trump supporters that don't support Trump and people that are like hardcore left. Those are like you're saying, the people that will refuse to treat someone as a nurse or whatever. I feel like the people that are just like not supporting Trump right now are still like probably decent people at heart, and they wouldn't like not treat someone because of their political views, or like,
I don't think Ryan Mott is a decent
not
person
hook
at all.
somebody's brakes up properly because they are a Trump supporter. I don't see that happening for many of these people.
Yeah, I don't doubt that about the artist formerly known as whatever the hell his name is. Ryan Mata is a total scumbag, somebody that would make a video trying to whitewash the 50-year torture and rape of women and girls systemically by edict by a guy that was just killed by Donald Trump, and to try to excuse that and whitewash that is just a total lack of morality. It's a total lack of understanding. It is a total lack of human decency. And look, I get it. Some of these folks are just doing this for grifting. I honestly think that the reason why people like the artist formerly known as whatever the hell his name is doing this is because he saw a big chunk of his income disappear on TikTok. And this is working for him because he is monetizing and he's making good money doing this.
Oh,
I don't see that at all about Ryan
You can
Mata.
subscribe to me on X for $1.
That's right. $1. You should have bumped that up. Your content's worth far more than $1.
It's okay. I just turned it on today, so it's fine. I need to figure out the Discord and all that. Like I used to do the subscribers for TikTok, and you know, then it can be different. But I think some of these people are getting paid, I think, externally, and obviously all of them are monetizing on social media, so they're getting paid that way. But back to my point about the liberals guiding these people in a certain direction or giving them talking points. I wonder if it's for that purpose. The ones that are being given talking points to make videos about or paid to make their videos. I wonder if that's the purpose, is to flood with mis and disinformation so that people get fed up. So because I've seen people on our side of the aisle say this shouldn't be allowed. This person should be kicked off social media. They should have their platform taken away. They should be arrested. You know, lots of things like that. Speaking today, someone, and I typed out a response and I didn't get a chance to hit send. I got distracted. But somebody was saying they wanted someone arrested for speaking out against the United States. And I was like, wait, what? Why would you want that? I'm okay with.
Hold on.
I'm
There
okay
is
with.
there. I don't know if you're watching this, if it's the same video or not, but there is an active duty Air Force
Oh, that's
enlisted
different. That's
who is in
different.
her car, basically saying
That's
that. So it
different.
might
If
be
you're in
that
the
person.
military, if you're in the military, that's totally different. I'm talking about if people are just not siding with the United States. I mean, we have actual elected officials that are not. We have Adam Schiff talking about, yeah, the Ayatollah is a great guy. Because I mean, the person that was interviewing him was like, "Are you saying that this guy isn't a bad guy?" And he's like, "No, he's not a bad guy." And I'm like, what is happening? Every other Democrat elected politician has been like, this guy's a piece of shit this entire time, decades and decades. I've never heard a single Democrat elected official say this guy's a nice guy. All of a sudden, Donald Trump is going to take care of the problem, end it, which that's probably another problem, because the people that like money from war are probably not really liking this right now. They think they might, but I think are starting to realize that when they were pushing Donald Trump to get into this situation and he was saying no, they were mad because they wanted to start a war. And then I think when Donald Trump decided, you know what, I think we can handle this and create a more peaceful Middle East and do it quickly and not be another forever war. I think some of those warmongers are probably getting pissed that Donald Trump's going to actually end it, and they aren't going to have Iran to fall back on to create issues in the Middle East and to draw the United States into conflict and keep the war machine and money machine going for these people.
That's right. Nom, have you seen this picture before? I know you were eating crawdads when I was talking about this the other day. Have you seen this?
Crawdads. No, I mean, I've seen you talking about it, but
okay.
They're crawdads. What are you talking about?
They're crawfish.
I mean, only if you're ordering them to eat, but they're crawdads. They are mud bugs.
We call them crawdads up here in the upper Midwest.
Yeah, I mean,
we call them crawdads here too. I get when you're ordering it at a restaurant, it's crawfish, but when you find them in the creek, they're crawdads, and they're mud bugs. You don't. I understand. Water roaches.
I know, and they're delicious. Listen, the crawfish themselves. I mean, it's a whatever, but it's the way they're seasoned and cooked. It's freaking fantastic.
So I was.
The head, though. Do you sing the song and suck the head?
I mean, I can't. Only thing you're doing is sucking the juices out. I mean, it's fine. It's good.
So a little personal story. So I went yesterday to visit my grandmother, and she's in late stages Alzheimer's. She's, I think 90 or pretty close to it. So she's nearing the end of her life, doing it incredibly gracefully, by the way. So I went to go visit her yesterday because she's on what they call death watch right now. So it's kind of like it's just a matter of time. And we were talking, and what was really cool about it is she was shockingly coherent. She was very aware. She was awake. She was moving around. So the kids got to see her kind of in a really good state right before what could possibly be the end. And I showed her one of the photos of Nom eating crawfish. And I'm like, hey, this is what Nom's been doing. And of course I used his name. This is what Nom's been doing. And she's like, what is that? And I was like, that's crawfish, Grandma. And she went, ew. Was not impressed at all. She's
really
like,
good.
That's great. That happens right.
She's from the hollers of West Virginia. They probably eat them a little differently if they ever ate them there.
They didn't. No, they didn't have any of that stuff. No, they
weren't eating mud bugs. They were like, who's eating roaches out of the creek? Nobody's eating that.
They're not in the
you are. You might as well eat the roaches.
That's right. That's right. All right. So look, now we've spent some time talking about Iranian propagandists and how I think there's some competing opinions on whether some of them know what they're doing, whether they're doing it because they truly hate the country, or I think some of them just have such white hot, boiling, misplaced, ungodly hate for Israel that they are willing to sell what's left of their soul to the devil to try to destroy them. I mean, Ryan Mata put a video out right before the one I just talked about, celebrating the possibility that an Iranian missile made it through their air defense shield and landed in Tel Aviv. Excited about it, but nonetheless, there are other people, however, that I am absolutely convinced know exactly what they're doing. So SK, to your point, is it possible that these people have ulterior motives, like being able to usher in something like the digital index and those types of things? I came across this photograph. I didn't find it organically. Someone on X posted it, and I started doing a bunch of deep dive into
about the
it.
Quincy Institute. We've looked into that.
Well, the problem is nobody had looked into this prior to, or not very many people. See, Thomas Massie has been able to convince everybody that he's just this America First libertarian conservative that just wants to protect America and yada, yada, yada. Well, come to find out that there might actually be some ulterior motives and the things that Thomas Massie has been doing. And I'll remind you of the timing of when Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna decided to present their bill to the floor, forcing the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files, probably a little bit prematurely. We knew that they were going to be releasing them once they were done reviewing and fully redacting them and doing the process that it takes millions of documents to be vetted properly. But they had to get these things out as fast as they can. And you'll remember that they started that process within about 3 weeks of the Trump administration blowing up the Iranian nuclear facilities. So now there's starting to be a whole bunch of information coming out about Thomas Massie and his connections to some very, very questionable people. So this photo emerged of Thomas Massie, guy there in the middle, Ro Khanna over here in the very top left, right behind the lady's shoulder, and then this guy that Thomas Massie is shaking hands with. Does anybody know who this guy is? His name is Trita Parsi. Trita Parsi.
Data Republican has posted all about this. We found all this with the New Pluralist stuff. This was started. You have to understand this was started. Okay, the meeting with Mark Gerzon, that was the beginning of Koch and Soros getting together, and then the New Pluralists. Well, before the New Pluralists, the Quincy Institute was started. Their meeting was before the Quincy Institute was started, and then it was a couple more years before the New Pluralists was started. So that's the order that it went in. This is Soros and Koch together. This is pushing pluralism, and this is all of the America 250 crap that's being pushed right now. All of that stuff is all from this group of people.
That's right. And this is an article from Democracy Now! Titled Charles Koch and George Soros Team Up to Fund New Anti-Interventionist Think Tank. Right?
Yeah, but their meeting to start all this was way before that video that we posted a long time ago.
Well, it's important. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all.
So yes, Thomas Massie is part of the whole network.
On what planet did Charles Koch and George Soros believe in non-interventionalism? On what planet?
When Donald Trump had the ability to reshape the entire global order. That's when.
And make peace all over the world and actually do what's best for the United States and actually put America first by making peace across the world and telling the rest of the world the United States is the strongest military on the planet. You want to fuck around, you'll find out. But if you don't want to, you can be peaceful and you can leave us the hell alone and leave your neighbors alone and everybody just get along, hold hands and sing Kumbaya. And when people realize that Donald Trump actually can accomplish this, starting with the Abraham Accords and everything else and getting the rest of the Middle East to sign on to the Abraham Accords, the people that hate him so much, they hate him more than they love the United States. That's all there is to it.
All right.
So what I got out of that real quick. So what I got out of that was the people that don't want a stable Middle East because they like a lot of money flowing to, I don't know, continue to drop bombs all over the Middle East and for a lot of contractor organizations to, do Halliburton-y things all over the Middle East. They're the ones who are now pretending to be non-interventionalists so that you don't actually go in and take out the people who are creating the havoc and chaos in the Middle East to begin with.
It goes so much deeper than that too. You cannot implement an American system with Iran destabilizing the Middle East. You can't do it. It's not possible to be done because you have to have regional supremacy through cooperation, and that requires the Arabian states to have that supremacy. And with a lunatic with the potential of ballistic missiles and a nuke controlling the region, it can't be done. So the Chinas, the Irans, the Kochs, the Soros, they all have a vested interest in protecting the globalist system, which is their system. That's why. That is the reason why they would come together and they would partner to fund an organization called the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. Don't we all love that word, statecraft? We know what statecraft means, don't we? That's the democracy people. It's the color revolutionary people.
It's the we're implementing democracy everywhere. Democracy, everybody.
I have a visceral reaction to the word democracy at this point. There is not another word that I can think of off the top of my head that I would be perfectly fine never again hearing for the rest of my life.
Because they've destroyed it. They've destroyed the meaning of it.
And
Is the color revolution
next is liberty and freedom. Just be prepared.
Is the color revolution the same as the Rainbow Coalition? No.
Rainbow
Coalition is actually an organization, right? It's an actual 501c3 or 4, one of the two.
You mean it's not the Gay Brigade?
Well, the Rainbow Coalition is part of the color revolution, but it is not the color revolution.
Rainbow Coalition? That's Jesse Jackson's outfit, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which came from Freedom Road Socialist Organization, which is actual just communists.
Hold on, let's do this real quick. I have no idea what a color revolution is. I have to Google it. So I'll help you real quick. Horsehair, haired Messiah. A color revolution is basically just it's a form of quote unquote nonviolent revolution in a country. It is the tactic that the CIA and other government agencies in the United States have been using all around the world for the last 20 or 30 years. There's been multiple color revolutions that have happened in the 21st century, Ukraine, in multiple different countries. What other countries?
Egypt, the summer of whatever they called it, love.
Libya. Basically what happens is the CIA and USAID and Democracy Now! And all of these organizations will go into these countries and they'll start propagandizing the population and creating and fomenting this desire for revolution. A lot of times the term color revolution comes from the idea that if they can get their revolutionaries to align around a color that matches their temperature or their fervor or whatever their goal, you have like the Orange Revolution, the Rose Revolution, et cetera, et cetera. And the problem that SK has perfectly mapped out over the last 8 months, SK and Data Republican and Lisa Logan, and to some extent, Nam and I have like kind of muddled our way through it too. Though people who were professional color revolutionists being paid by the United States government, the State Department, and USAID to do this in other countries are now doing it in this country.
That is extremely important to understand. And you can go to my X or Data Republicans X, and you can just search our accounts for like color revolution, and you'll see entire threads of information. But it is so important for you guys to understand. I know I've said it a million times, but it is so important for you to understand what these people are doing and how they are doing it and how excited these USAID people and U.S. Institute of Peace people are to be able to use their democracy tools in the United States, because, you know, we weren't allowed to do that when we were employed. But now everything that they've done for the federal government, everything they've learned, the decades they've spent fomenting color revolutions in other countries, they are currently doing in the United States, and they are doing trainings. They are leading these people. They are grading our democracy weekly, and they have it tied to news stories and grading how the news story then influenced the democracy, because this is what they do. They also have artists that they pay, like singers, jazz singers, actors. They have things like that in these other countries, and they write songs to get the youth on board, because you have to have the youth, you have to have the labor unions, you have to have all these people on board with you in order to get them into the streets to protest, in order to be able to overthrow the government.
So SK released a thread today. I think it was this morning. Was it today or last night? I don't know when
it was. Today. It was supposed to be like 2 weeks ago, but it was today.
It was phenomenal. It's information that you have to understand. It's so important that I think Wednesday, SK, I would love to do a full show on it. I would love to bring that thread up, walk through that thread piece by piece, If we can bring somebody on, if you want to, we can do that
I
too.
was getting ready to say, you need to remind me to remind you that we need to set up a time for next week for a special guest.
Yes.
Normal podcast time, if you know
Probably.
what I'm saying.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll
Okay.
talk to you about it later. Don't
So-
let me forget.
So on Wednesday, I want us to prepare for doing a full show on that thread, because what I'm going to show you here right now in the next 5 to 10 minutes will tie directly into the broader vein of what we've been talking about for the last 5 months on the show, which is the color revolution and everybody involved. Because what just happened over the weekend when this photograph of Thomas Massie appeared receiving an award from the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft ties him directly at the center of the ongoing color revolution that's happening in this country. Because this guy right here, guy right here, what's his name? Trita Parsi. Trita Parsi is right now the vice president and co-founder of QI, or Quincy Institute. And he has been since 2019. This is an organization that considers themselves to be transpartisan, and they believe that their mission is to try to avoid intervention by focusing on things like sanctions and other diplomatic methods of allowing despotic terrorist organization states like Iran to stay in power longer than they should. Basically, what this guy's entire motive is to embolden an Ayatollah by discouraging the United States of using their military might to remove him. That's his job. Now, Quincy Institute is an organization that today does that on the world stage. They are not nation specific, but prior to coming and starting the Quincy Institute, Trita Parsi used to be the co-founder and president of an organization called the National Iranian American Council, NIAC, National Iranian American Council. And the best way that I can define what this organization was, that he was the founder and leader of for 16 years, it is the Iranian version of AIPAC. Not only is it the Iranian version of AIPAC, it is the Iranian lobbying group for the Ayatollah Khomeini directly. As a matter of fact, back in 2018, one of the reasons why this guy left that organization is because him and many of his top lieutenants in an organization were referred to the Department of Justice for prosecution of FARA violations, because they fully were driving the Ayatollah's agenda in the United States through this Iranian organization. This guy is the Iranian mouthpiece in this country. And I'm not just making that up. I showed you guys on an X video TikTok video I posted the other day. Back in 2012, actually, I want to pull this up real quick. Back in 2012, sorry, SK, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, these are the same organizations that were bringing Palestinians over here for medical care. These are the same organizations that donate to lots of politicians. I remember when I found those letters that were sent to CARE from John Thune this time last year. These are all those same organizations. It's same Mahmoud Khalil and Mohsen Madawi that were supposed to be deported. Those people are all involved with these organizations.
Yep. So back in 2012, and look, the allegations that this organization, before he left and now started the one that he's with now, was in fact a lobbying group for the Ayatollah and the Iranian regime, has actually been tested in court. Because in 2012, I think it was, he was sued. No, it might have been later than, it might have actually been 2018. He and his organization filed a defamation lawsuit against somebody who was critical of him and the National Institute, or National Iranian American Council. And in that defamation lawsuit, the judge found specifically and threw his case out because Parsi occasionally made statements reflecting a balanced shared blame approach, saying that because Parsi's defense was that he used a balanced approach, but the judge said that was not consistent with the idea that he was first and foremost an advocate for the regime. A judge found through a defamation lawsuit that this guy, the allegations made against him were in fact consistent with the idea that he was an advocate and an ally of the Iranian regime. And that is the guy that Thomas Massie is standing there shaking hands with and receiving an award from.
Weren't they the same ones that were funding like the Holy Land 5 and all of that?
No. So I actually looked into this. So the National Iranian American Council gets a lot of its funding from an organization called the Holy Land Fund. The one that was funding terrorist organizations is this totally separate organization called the Holy Land Foundation. That's no longer in existence. Now, it is possible that some of those people may have transitioned over.
Yeah, they're all intertwined. The Samadine, all those.
Yeah. I didn't look that far into the connections between the two. All I know is that the fund and the foundation are not the same organization, but they're probably from the same people. Because people are policy, as Nom continues to say. Nom, did you have something you want to jump in with?
Well, a couple of things are happening in the comments while you guys, this is fascinating stuff. But so Boggs Chips, who I think is new to the chat, I don't think I've seen Boggs Chips around, is asking because we're talking. Well, yeah. So Death to America, you're talking about that dude in IAC and you know the Iranian agenda. So we've talked a little bit about what the Iranian agenda was earlier, and the fact that they call themselves. First of all, what the fuck does transpartisan mean? What
Dude, if I have to hear that word, that's another one that's on the list because these people talk about it all the time. That's that whole group with Soros and Koch. They're the ones that started the whole transpartisan. It means
they're partisan fluid. They can be partisan or nonpartisan.
That's another thing. You can listen to the beginning of their meetings, and they're talking about actually having actually having groups of bipartisan people like from all of the political parties and having everyone's input, but everyone's still working towards the same goal, which is not Trump. Okay. But they don't. They very quickly just go straight as far left as you can possibly go.
Yeah. So transpartisan means their partisanship is very fluid. They will be partisan or nonpartisan depending on whether it's objective for them.
Right. So the dude that he was just talking about at the NIAC, right, and how they're anti-interventionalists and they're new now the Iranian agenda is to stall, right? It's to stall so that they can build up their uranium, they could build up their ballistic missile stockpiles. It's stall, always stall, never actually do anything. That's why the nuclear deal that you got from Obama was nothing but enriching themselves while they continue to stall forever and ever and ever until they reached their goal. Like President Trump told you, they would have had the nuclear weapons that they wanted 3 years ago if he hadn't exited that deal. So the Iranian agenda, while they're funding this attempt, these folks who are out there saying, no, we're anti-interventionist, now we can't actually intervene. Well, we're not nation building, all this, the things that Thomas Massie is now appears to be getting paid to say, is all about allowing the Islamic regime to stall so they can get exactly what they want while they're playing games with us.
That's right.
That's the Iranian agenda.
And also death to America and death to Israel. That's basically it in a nutshell.
You stall. Their ultimate goal is stall. They could build their stockpiles up so they can do death to Israel, death to America. The other thing that was going on, and the only question this Kelly Hawks is asking, is it a crime for Massie to receive? No, of course it's not. Can it be proven in court? I don't know that it matters. To get it outed from Congress? No, but listen, none of that is what is possible here. What PatriotDad and SK are doing is they're just telling you why Thomas Massie is doing the things that he's doing and he's saying the things that he's saying. He certainly appears to be being paid by the people who want him to drive a wedge in the MAGA base for this purpose. And they just gave you one example of why he's doing that.
That's right. Awesome timing for the what do they call these things again? I always forget. Super chat from Ermin 2700 just got here. You don't know what you've covered, but had to thank you for the vid on MUB principles mass hole. They all need to be exposed for the money they take. Look, I haven't touched on this yet, and we'll probably get to it on Wednesday as we walk through SK's post. But it is pretty clear now that Thomas Massie's almost his entire campaign for re-election is being funded by radical leftists at this point. Tens of thousands of dollars flowing in from Islamists down in Texas. I mean, this guy is not an American first candidate anymore. Something changed, and I think I know
I'll
what
tell
it
you
was.
what changed. What changed is the color revolutionists are openly working with Antifa and communists, and they told us that they were going to divide the right by using what? Oh, that's right, Israel.
All right, I want to wrap this. I want to wrap with this. I think, Nom, you set this up perfectly. Talking about what is the Iranian agenda. Well, I don't know if you guys saw it, but probably the hardest working member of the entire Trump administration, Marco Rubio, gave a bit of a quick on-the-fly press conference, and I think he absolutely laid out why we had to go do what we did. So I want to play this quick clip, and then both of the Patriot kids are in here looking at me like it's time to go. So we're going to wrap here in a moment.
To the new leader of Iran and Venezuela.
That's right. Here we go. You ready?
Behind, meaning there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do, is put themselves in a place of immunity where the damage they could inflict on the region would be so high that no one can do anything about their nuclear program or their nuclear ambitions. They are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month. Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be built a month. They can build 100 of these a month, not to mention the thousands of one-way attack drones that they also have. They've been doing this for a very long time, and by the way, they've been doing it under sanction. You see the attacks they're conducting right now? They're attacking airports, they're attacking hotels, they're hitting not just military bases, they're attacking our embassies directly, they're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war or with military, and that's a weekend Iran. That's in Iran despite years of sanction. Imagine a year from now, or a year and a half from now, the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics.
That's the agenda right there. That's the Iranian agenda.
I'm not even ashamed to say I voted for that guy in the 2016 primary.
I didn't. I voted for Ted Cruz.
I did. I was embarrassed for a long time. Not anymore.
Not anymore. He's been great. All right, folks. We are going to wrap. We're right at about 2 hours, a couple minutes short. Wednesday, you better be here, 9:30 Eastern. All the things. Make sure you like, subscribe, help to share this podcast out if you don't mind. Nom, are you still going to be down where you're at? And
yeah, I'll be here Wednesday.
Okay.
Friday may be a different story because I got to drive back. I got an 8-hour drive, and we'll see what sort of mood Mrs. Nom's in when I get home.
If you can't, then we'll just invite some other rabble rousers on and have some fun. Folks, 2 weeks, I guess starting next week, I'm going to be in and out. I'm going to be traveling as well for work. And I don't know if I'll be able to commit to all the shows, but I'll try to be to most of them. So we may have some special guests join. There may even be some days, depending on schedules, where we're like, hey, we're not going to do it tonight. Just want to give you a heads up. If SK has to go sit out in the freezing cold to watch your son try to catch baseballs on first base, it might not happen on a Monday or a Wednesday and pitching. So just a heads up that the next 2.5 weeks, you're going to be a little bit squirrely. So we just ask you to be patient with us. We will eventually all be back in the seats, ready to roll. But Nom, you want to take us out? We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Maybe.
Good night, guys. Sorry.
Here we go.
In the shadows of the Capitol, they're scheming in the night, selling out our freedoms for a pocket full of spite. From the border